Blake Sifton reports for CNA live from Dubai. Now, Blake, you're in Dubai where you're hearing reports of fresh strikes there. What's the latest you can tell us?
That's right. Good afternoon. About an hour ago, I heard two audible booms here in Dubai. Unclear if those were interceptions of drones or potentially of missiles. It had been quiet overnight with the last round yesterday afternoon, but there is another round this morning. There's also reports of explosions heard in Qatar and in Bahrain, and Reuters is reporting that witnesses are seeing smoke rising from near the U.S. Embassy in Kuwait. Now, of course, it's completely unclear if these were all interceptions, and in that situation in Kuwait, if it was perhaps just burning debris that fell from the sky. Because the success rate for intercepting these drones and missiles in the Gulf has been very, very high. There's been not that many direct impacts, but of course the burning debris that follows from interceptions is also dangerous. That being said, it's a working day here today, and the streets are busy. There are lots of cars. People are walking. So people here do seem to be taking the situation in stride. Of course, many people are also stuck from the flight closures since the airspace has been closed across the region. Around 20,000 people are said to be essentially stranded here, but the government has said that they will financially support people with meals and with hotels should they need it. And the people I've spoken to do seem to be making the best of the situation.
And Blake, what more do we know about Israel launching fresh strikes on Lebanon?
So that is a developing and very serious situation. We understand that in revenge for Israel's killing of the supreme leader of Iran, that Hezbollah fired at least 5 missiles at a missile defense site north of Haifa. Now, this is very important because this is the first time Hezbollah has fired into Israel since late November 2024, when they agreed to a ceasefire with Israel that stopped about a year of war. They have not fired back since, even though Israel has carried out strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon essentially every day or every other day since then. And they did not join in the 12-day war between Israel and Iran in June. And everyone was waiting to see whether they would. And perhaps if it had been more limited strikes on Iran's nuclear sites or missile facilities, they wouldn't. But in killing the supreme leader, they have now responded. We understand some 31 people have been killed in Lebanon in retaliatory Israeli strikes. In the past, Israel had promised to destroy infrastructure in Lebanon, perhaps targeting the airport should Hezbollah get involved. So that's a developing situation which could turn very serious, and it's unclear at this stage if that will open into a completely new front in this war.
Now, Iran says that it will not negotiate with Washington, and as Trump maintains Washington is prepared for prolonged conflict. What is the endgame here of the U.S. and Israel?
Well, that's one of the main questions in this really chaotic and developing 2-day war. We've heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as well as Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz, and they've both said that the war will continue, the attacks on Iran will continue as long as it takes. Netanyahu has said that attacks will intensify following those fatalities in Israel yesterday. And of course, the stated goal of this campaign is regime change. In the lead up to this, there was all sorts of scenarios put forth. Would they just do a limited strike to try to persuade Iran to negotiate? Would they perhaps just strike nuclear sites? Would they strike missile sites? Because Israel, of course, has long complained about Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. But instead, they went for the most significant and massive option, which is killing the supreme leader of Iran and regime change. But we need to remember that the IRGC, that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, is deeply embedded in Iran and essentially controls the country. They have a vast financial empire in Iran. This is not like Libya, where Gaddafi is removed and the government has fallen, or in Syria, where the Assad family is removed and the government has fallen. This is a deeply entrenched infrastructure. So if the goal is regime change and removing the IRGC, it would be expected that would take quite some time.
Many thanks for that update, Blake. Blake Sifton covering the conflict for CNA from Dubai.